Hey everybody, Chris Thunder Laser, and today, for you, like me, this is a happy day and we're going to unbox our Aurora. And this is the 100-watt MOPA, and they should be the same no matter which version you get. The boxing and what's inside the box should be identical. So what you're going to need is probably a razor blade or something sharp to cut the nylon straps off so that we can get the lid off. And then what we'll do is we'll do an inspection. I recommend when this is unboxed or taken off the truck to do a quick walk around, make sure there's no punctures from forklifts and stuff like that the warehouse and the drivers like to leave for us. So go ahead and take a visual inspection around the machine, and then we can start opening it to inspect inside. So I'm gonna just cut these off with a razor blade. And they are pretty stout, so be careful when you're cutting them off. And then once we have these off, the lid should just slide right off. All right. So I don't know about you, but I'm one of those kids, or I was one of those kids, that had to have a plastic bag when I opened up my Christmas presents so that I can throw away all the wrapping as I open them. That was me. So get rid of your nylon straps so you don't trip over them, and then let's pop the top off of this baby. So one of the first things that you're going to see when you get in here is your toolbox or bag. Your tool bag will have accessories in here, and this kind of changes from year to year. So if you're watching this a few years down the road, there may be new things in here. I'll go over what it does come with, but if it's not in there and they supplied something new, that sometimes happens. Our power cord, our instruction and setup sheet. We have our exhaust plumbing to get it out of your building. And I'm going to start setting some of this stuff to the side. And they put some nice handles on it, which should make it very, very easy to lift right off. I'm going to just kind of pick it up. And there you go. You have now unboxed your Aurora Fiber Series Thunder Laser, and now it's time to take off the wrapping. Again, at every step of this, walk around, inspect it, make sure there's no damage, there's no scratches, stuff like that, just to make sure. Looking at the box, looking at the machine, everything looks great, perfect order. There are some keys to these door hinges. You can't open them until we unlock them. So we're gonna want our keys. And let's go through the bag real quick and see what's in here. We do have a package that says keys. It is going to have a few sets of keys, and more importantly, it's going to have your USB stick. USB stick is going to have your software. If you're going to use EasyCAD, that's going to be on here. Your autofocus software is going to be on here, and probably some parameters and settings. Like if you're going to use Lightburn, it'll have all of those parameters in on the USB drive. A couple sets of keys, your USB, some lens cleaning swabs, a baby ear cleaner or dust blower, and then some Allen keys, and also a Phillips head screwdriver. So that's what comes in this kit at the date of this unboxing. But what we need right now are the keys. So separately, in the key bag are keys for the doors, and then one for turning the machine on and off. So keep that in mind. I actually have it tethered to the thumb drive so that I don't lose it. Once I get it in position, I will probably put that key in and never ever take it out. But we have the ability now to unlock all of these doors and check out inside and make sure nothing crazy has happened through vibration and transport and getting shipped overseas, or if it was air freighted to you. Some of this foam around the outside could be in the way when trying to lift it, so I like to just kind of rip it off. It is just glued onto the bottom layer, so it does pull off rather easily. And looking inside, you can see that our mechanisms are all okay, our wirings are all okay, nothing has fallen from its position. There are some thumb screws in here that we are going to want to take out. This is stopping the lid or our processing door to open. It locks it in place. So we're going to want to take those out. There should be one on the left side, one on the right side. I'm going to spin this around. And there's another one over here. And I'm just going to put these right in my bag so I don't lose them in case I did ever have to transport it at some later date. At this point, you should be able to raise the door. And inside, on our working area, we're going to have some accessories. Mainly, the air fan. So this is going to be your exhaust fan that will be plumbed outside of your house or shop to get all of the fumes and debris that might be created while we're engraving or cutting. It does come with some hardware, so if you wanted to mount this to a wall, you can, and an instruction booklet for the fan. So looking at the back of the machine, we have our serial plaque there with our serial number and kind of a description of the power usage and production date, stuff like that. You do have your exhaust output. This is where you're going to be connecting the exhaust fan. We have a plug for the exhaust fan, and it's just going to plug directly into there. You have your power cord, and power cord's kind of cool. It does have 2 tabs on it, so it can only go in one way. And when you line up the 2 tabs with the channels on this blue terminal here, it's going to go in all the way, turn it clockwise, and it will click and lock into place. And then we have our PC port. Now, this port is going to be sending communications over to your computer for the controller. So all of our files and settings will come over through that, as well as it's sending information back to the computer for the camera. So all of that's coming through one cord. Now, how these locks work, if you noticed earlier, I did unlock them, and it's just a standard lock. We are going to lift that up, turn it, and now it's able to be opened. Looking inside, what we're looking at is everything in place? Has anything rattled out of place? Everything looks solid to me. Again, typical Thunder fashion, everything is labeled with bus bars, relays. I'll go through all of this real quick for you. We have our TL timer up front. This is telling the machine to turn on the red light pointer, to turn on your fan, things like that, monitoring the doors. So this is our main information hub. Then we have our autofocus board. And a lot of this stuff you're not going to touch. I'm just explaining to you where it is. We have our power supply for 24 volts. And then we have our other power supplies underneath this panel. This panel actually will unscrew, slide out if you needed to get to it ever. We have a bus bar here that has all of our grounds and powers and AC voltage coming in, relays, triggering either your exhaust fan and also your rotary. We have our main breaker in case something was wrong. And I always question this, but this is how it works. Red is on and active and good. Green is no-go, which is the exact opposite of what you would think. We have our main contactor. This will supply power to all of the devices when we turn on the key. And we have our main BJJ-CZ board. This is what tells the laser what to do. And then we have our driver. This is going to drive your Z-axis up and down. And everything looks good. Do have some cooling fans. So everything looks good to me. I'm going to lock it up. Looking at the front, we have our emergencies button, and that is almost always pushed in when you go to lift it and set it on the counter. The interesting thing about this button is it allows the lights to come on, and it looks like everything is active and running. But it actually shuts off the power to the laser source and to the controller. So you may not register, it may not find it in Lightburn or in the software because this is pushed in. So just easily, quickly turn that, and you should hear some fans kick on, and then you know for sure you have some power. We have our on button, we have our lighting, our fan, our up and down for the Z. We have our autofocus. This is not used, this is made for a motorized mechanism. And then we have our start button. Again, lift it up. Rotary access port, our exhaust vent here, and then we have our T-slot table. Come around to the sides. You have your main source here. So this is our 100 watt MOPA JPT. And we have all of our cables going up into the scan head, the Galvo head. Fairly simple. And again, a lot of this stuff you're not going to be messing with. I'm just kind of pointing out so you know what to look at and where everything is located. So since I don't have anybody to help me at the moment to lift this thing up and actually get my 20 watt fiber off of my bench, I'm going to power it up with an extension cord. I highly recommend you powering it up and testing it before putting it into position. But a long-term solution for running this is not really an extension cord. Make sure you have it directly wired into your wall. Let's come around the front side, and I'm going to turn it on and kind of go through the buttons, the E-stop again, the key switch, and make sure everything works. Okay, so I do have the extension cord connected. I have my exhaust fan back here because when I turn on the machine, I can actually turn on the exhaust manually and make sure that it is functioning correctly. So I am going to just plug it in. We can see the 3-pin situation, 3 pins there. It is shaped so it can only go in one way. And then a little closer look at this. If we pull that, turn it, slide it out, you can see the tabs on it. Super easy, locks in, nicely done. Come around to the front. Got our protective piece of plastic on there. And again, kind of like I said, the key to turn it on is different than the one for the doors. Just make sure you find the correct one. Slide it in, turn it on. We should get interior lights and our green light. Now, not much of a difference with this on or off. You can't really tell. We still have our autofocus dot, which autofocus dot is closer to the front. Our operating dot will be in the back. So I can hear my fan working. Let's see if I can turn that off or if it's just going to be stuck on. Let's turn on our emergency stop. There we go. Now we have a blinking light. So that'll be a good indication for you if this is pushed in and we don't have any of our lights on. Do that again. Okay. So just our blinking on light. Once that is on, then we know that the e-stop is good. It is in the correct position to operate. Press the on button, and that should activate all of our internal components. So our autofocus and our controller board should also turn on when we have the on switch on. If by chance you turn your machine on, and like on this one, we had the exhaust on full blast when the machine wasn't operating and I did not push the exhaust button, our TL timer has a switch on here for test mode, right there. I turn it on, that goes into test mode, it turns on the accessories. So for it to be controlled by the machine and by your switch out front, we need to make sure that that is not in test mode. So just in case you plug it in, exhaust comes on automatically, let's flip that switch and you should be good to go. Again, these locking mechanisms, very easy. It's literally just turn it, push it down. Super simple. Now that I have the TL timer switched into active position, not test position, I should be able to turn on the fan on my own. These digital fans, these digital inline fans, take a second to spool up to full power. So if you don't hear anything for 5 to 10 seconds, that's normal. It is starting to spin. They are low power consumption fans, so it takes a minute to get up to full speed. I'm going to shut that off. Okay, that's working fine. Test my light. We have a multiple stage light where we can adjust the brightness. Sometimes it's hard to focus materials with the red dot with the light on, so we can shut it off. We can have dim, pretty nice feature. And then we have our Z up and down. So by pressing that Z, you can make sure that that works. It should go up and down seamlessly. And then also the autofocus. We can press that button. At this point, it's going to autofocus to the bed. And it should come down and give you a couple beeps to confirm that it is focused correctly. But let me get a couple of extra hands out here to help me put this up on the bench, and then we can start to work on installing Lightburn and getting it all set up and using it. A few things to note about the back of the machine and getting everything set up once you have it in your workspace. We want to have access, either being able to move it out of the way or continual access over time to clean the fan and also the ductwork. Over time it gets buildup and gets dirty and probably won't flow efficiently, so you may want to put that on your 6-month or yearly schedule to check it and clean it out when needed. USB is just a printer cable, so that's going to go into your PC port. Again, your exhaust fan, which we covered already, and your power. Yeah, and try not to have this directly up against the wall so that, you know, it cuts off your airflow. So try to stay away from major bends, like a 90 degree, and you can shorten this and cut it if need be. Coming out to the front side, obviously if you're watching this video, you probably already scanned your QR code to get you to the video for setup and usage. Lifting the lid up and checking out the lens, many people forget that there is a cover on the lens. So before you start using it and you're concerned that you're not getting your red dot or things aren't lasering but you smell something, take that off. other than that, this laser is in position, and now we can start to program it, program our computer to read it and start marking stuff.